and good day. I have a pair of videos for you. You're going to hear my voice very, very softly in the background. Just ignore it. And doing my daily here to get the Warriors of the Emerald Isles daily done. And you have to have either a British or Japanese pilot for that. And so this will be the wrap-up of that. And then we will move on to the 1092 just because I'm grinding for cash. And again, the goal is to get to 6 million so I can get the F-84F out and show that to you. And then we'll just move on from there. It is an open question to me whether I will keep the X-84F. There are some aircraft that I realize that I'm just not going to fly too much in Tier 10. Do not like the Cutlass very much. I do not like the XF90. I think that money could be better spent elsewhere. And we have the Spitfire 1A today. Very maneuverable aircraft. Fairly slow in my opinion for this tier. And the altitude is terrible. 3,000 feet before it goes yellow. Which is awful. Now, depending on the mark of Spitfire, you have to be very careful about generalizing anything about Spitfires. We had versions of them with clipped wings, and they for better roll. They had them with 3-stage superchargers, optimized for high altitude. There are all sorts of variants of the Spitfire. Enough that entire books have been written about the Spitfire and nothing else. But no problem whatsoever, there's so many variations. So we've cleared the airbase fairly handily without a whole lot of problems. And again, I apologize for having to do a voiceover here, but it was so faint that having the volume control halfway up, you could barely hear my voice. So you'll hear little murmurings and stuff, but this should cover it over very well. If that's a problem, do let me know, and I will yank the center soundtrack. But it does have the explosions, the game announcements and stuff. So I generally like to keep those in. So we're going to head over to the rocket base, get that secured for ourselves. Clear out the air defense fighters. Not sure why it took them so long, but okay, we'll just deal with it. One thing I will tell you about these aircraft is that they have like a 1,300 foot range. Not exactly great, you know, for those of you on the metric system, which should be most of you. Just divide by 3, it'll give you a rough idea in meters. And you can hear me talking in the background. Okay, so when we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and attempt to insert myself here. That's into him. We're going to do a wing over. Emmelman around. Get them lined up in our sights. And if I pull this off correctly, I will be able to switch right over to the other aircraft and take him out too. All right, that's successfully done. We're going to move on from here. Head over to the other airbase, see if we can keep from losing it. It's a very long game in this case because it's an 800 pointer. And we're in for a very long chase here. I'm trying to rescue an allied pilot. Finally. And this poor guy got in the middle of everybody. You got an SB up ahead, and I'm really just not wanting to do this because they are so hard to get up to their altitude, and losing all my speed, not really liking it a whole lot, but let's just carry on. And that's why I tend to stick with American fighters so much, because they do, if nothing else, have altitude. Alright. No less than 3 aircraft on him. Poor guy. And we're not quite to the halfway mark in points yet. We're going to head back on over. And I'm thinking that what we really need to do is get over the missile base, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get there. We have a multi-op there. Well, had a multi-op there. Nice job by our fellow pilots. And I'm noticing that one of the airfield over there is closer, and we have yeah, we're going to go ahead and take that. Okay, so I just do not want to lose. I want to maintain what we're having right at the moment. And that SB, I don't trust at all, so let's go after it. Alright. Still entertaining fond hopes of getting over the missile base. And I'll take this fellow on. One of the things I was going to say is the range on the guns, machine guns, is fairly short, but the other thing is you want to make sure you get proper lead on these fellows, because if you don't, you haven't got a whole lot of firepower to begin with, 8 guns or not. And if you lead them properly and you start hitting the front of the aircraft, you'll have a lot more success in the damage you cause and how long it takes you to break down planes. Alright, so we're in the danger of losing the center section. A fighter's work is never done, is it, fellas? A Focke-Wulf here. Well, I had one. Alright, we're going to get on his tail, lead him properly, and wear him down with machine guns. Now, I noticed that we had a little target confusion going on there for some strange reason. Can't imagine why. And we saved our fellow pilot. Squall line is coming up. It's actually passed. And as usual, I'm down to under 50% health. And that wraps it up. Got the McCampbell, Flying Raider. You hear me repeating in the background there. I do not know what happened to my voice on the other one. I thought I recorded it properly. But as I was doing the review and mashing these together, it just didn't come up at all. Well, it just came up so softly you'd never notice I was talking, would you? All right. So good points, good silver, good experience. Got a token out of this deal. Really not doing too bad at all here. Like I told you, this is a twofer. The next section is going to be the 1092, Messerschmitt P.1092 to be exact. And you can see we got quite a few kills there. Didn't do bad at all. And we actually finished up the 1 through 4 section of the Warriors from the Isles daily mission. Could really use some tokens there, and hopefully we can get that finished up and move on to something else. But that was a good, certainly good, good showing on my part. Glad to get it done, and we will move right on to the Messerschmitt P.1092. Fairly short game here. That's why I put them together so you'd have a decent length of video here. Unfortunately, I can't show you new aircraft until I finish grinding. I have a F-84F that is just waiting for me to get the money to buy it. Sorry, gentlemen, when you talk this long non-stop, you do have to take an occasional drink once in a while, wet the whistle. And I've got a stable of 9 Tier 10 aircraft right now. And I'm questioning if I shouldn't begin to thin the herd, because there are some aircraft that I know I'm just not going to cotton to. The Cutlass is one of them. Instead of going with the Cutlass, I think I would have gone with the Cougar if I'd been World War planes, but you know, what am I? What do I know? The Cutlass was a aircraft with a very checkered history, and the Cougar was beloved. It actually could outmaneuver a F-86 because the wings could take so much more of a Jew load, and it was faster, and it came with 20 millimeter guns. But you do have to realize that everything in this era the excuse might be that this was an aircraft that was beyond the range that World War planes wanted to be at, because it includes missiles, but I'm going to tell you the F-86s did start carrying Sidewinders shortly after Korea, as the People's Army Aviation Force found out to their dismay. And their planes were being knocked out of the sky right and left by Sidewinders. Now, one of the things I like about the 1092 is if you end up in with a lot of Tier 10s, it's not a horrible thing because it's perfectly capable of taking care of itself. And if you're in Tier 8s, it just makes life that much better. That's why you see so many pilots being specialized in this aircraft. It gives you a wider range of things that you can take on, and you got a better chance of running across low-tier aircraft that you have a real screaming advantage over. All right, get heading over here. Got a nice lead. Looking like a 600-point game. Yes, that fellow was trying to take me out with the ram. And I love the XF5 view. I've got a specialized one myself, but it doesn't have too many answers for a 1092, not unless it gets it in the sights from a decent distance. Still, when I get shot down and somebody's in the XF5 view that did the shooting, it kind of brings a smile to my face. But I have to ask some questions here, because one of the aircraft I'm thinking of getting rid of, I thought, is the Cutlass, going back down to a Starfire. playing with configurations on it, see if I can make it a more viable aircraft for my playstyle. You know, if you go with a lightweight frame and lightweight power unit, you can actually get that thing from 13.3 to 12.5. Or 12.8. 12.8. And that's before, and that's just the base units. That's before you start your first enhancements. So I'm thinking, you know, it might be a better used as a more maneuverable heavy fighter instead of how I tend to use it, which is yeah, I thought I was too close to the ground there, and I mentioned that in the first go round on this video, but yeah, that's one of those you want back. Got a little too aggressive, a little too target fixated, and I'm known to do it with regularity for those of you that have been watchers of the channel for a while. Still, this is a game that's well in hand. I won't complain a whole lot. This should be pretty good for us. You don't see that too often, 3 bombers going down at the same time. RB-17, and I do not like to let those things hang around too long, for all the fact that the bombers don't get a whole lot of reward for their faction. My time in bombers has taught me they can capture an area very quickly or leave it so vulnerable that any GA out there can get them. We have 2 GA below us. I'm going to want to wipe that out pretty quick, and that's the end of the game. Alright, so that's a very comfortable victory for us. We were in control of it the whole time, which is where you want to be at. Good amount of experience, good silver, good. We got some free experience out of it. Really not going to complain too much about that. 10 kills, 1 assist. And we moved along pretty clearly here. Alright, so one of the things I do want to say is that we're going to have to do some of this grinding. If you have thoughts on it, I need to hear from you guys. Do you really want to see a lot of the Cutlass? Do you really want to see a lot of the Swift? You know, there's some aircraft up there that I've upgraded that their predecessors were better. I'm not a big fan of the Swift because of the guns, nor do I see it getting particularly better. The Cutlass I don't like too much, but I'll get some playing around to do with that. And a thought occurred to me about using the rapid cycle on the gas system on the Swift, and maybe that would be worth trying. Not real happy with the Swift at all right now, the blooper gun. And so I'm trying to do something to salvage these aircraft in my eyes, because I don't like either one of them very much as they sit. And I'm thinking very much, I love the Attacker. I do not like the Swift. And that's a shame, because it's got a good airframe. It should be one of the most enjoyable aircraft in the game, and because the Aiden cannon is like it is in the game, just not a whole lot of fun. So I want to spend some time thinking about that. I want you guys to think about it. What are the aircraft that you really want to see? Again, with the F-84, I am not sure that I want to keep that aircraft. I just, you know, I didn't like the F-84. Not that it was a bad aircraft. It's just with multi-ops, they have not decided, you know, they punish them too much. You know, with the GA, you can go through bomb explosions and stuff. With the F-84s and the other multi-ops out there, that's not the case. And so you kind of get stuck with them. And you know, the problem is that metas change. All right. You have the rise of the bomber now. Well, yeah, is it everything it ought to be? Well, probably not. It is the, and I'm not sure where that one's going. And so we'll have to take it from there. And I'm hearing way too much of my voice, so we are going to yank that out of it. Remember to like the video, subscribe, and support the channel.